clients, if you would, are younger kids. And then I wrote down, their parents dropped them off.
The ones under driving age, yes.
Okay. And from looking at your picture, I'm going to assume the majority of those people actually are underage as far as they don't have driver's license. So the majority of those kids are going to be dropped off. Therefore, parking is going to be a moot point.
Parking will be, traffic flow will not. Yes.
Traffic flow will not. Now, have you had any traffic studies done with regard to downtown?
No, so I don't have the plans.
Were you familiar with the one that was done when Piero applied for their license?
So,
Okay. So would it surprise you to know that that traffic study found that there were no problems with
I will object to what she's asking if she's surprised to know unless he can offer the traffic study itself, but that is evidence. It's not an evidence yet.
asking if she...
I'm sorry, I was reading this orange thing. Let's start over.
The chairman's really into grits back there. It's a grits groupie. I'm on tour with them, I tell you.
I'm going home and listening to grits. I'm sorry, start over. Start over on that line. And we'll
Go back where I was there.
yes, sir.
talk about traffic.
I just asked Ms. Gordon if she was familiar with the traffic study. She has told us that she's been very involved with downtown. She went to the Hyatt Palma discussion back in 1999, so I'm just asking her if she's familiar with the traffic
And
study.
are you familiar or not?
My
Yes or
only
no?
personal, the only thing I know about parking and traffic is what I witnessed.
What you say. Okay, that's a good answer.
All right, that's fine.
That's fine.
And then, have you had an opportunity to review the letter that Philip Craigo, the Jonesboro City Attorney, wrote, saying that he felt there was adequate police protection for downtown, it only being a few blocks away?
That's it. Wow.
Oh, okay.
Here, let her see it.
No, that's okay, really. I believe it.
You
I mean,
believe
he says
what he
it.
said?
I believe what he said. I believe what he said. I know that from the officers that we employ periodically, they don't feel that way. But sometimes what the officers think and what our reps think is different.
And you talked about speeding. Now, you would agree that Jonesboro has gone to some great lengths to put crosswalks downtown. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And would you also agree with me that those crosswalks have those little speed bumps, concrete speed bumps on both sides?
Yes.
And that if you don't slow down to drive over these things, you will be jarred in your
Pretty much
vehicle.
airborne. I've seen yeah.
And these are all up and down Main Street.
Yes, sir, they are.
Would you also agree with me that, or let me ask you this, have you seen the paper in the last couple of weeks where Jonesboro has also implemented the bicycle patrol for downtown? For
I've heard
speeding?
about it, but I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen that? Okay. All right, just want to make sure. And one last thing, you said that while you had some trouble, you haven't, with people wandering in, you haven't been accosted, you haven't been violated or harmed. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay.
There hasn't been any problems that my husband didn't handle.
I understand. Okay. I think it's all that.
Anybody else on the council?
Follow up, and I'll be very
Thank you.
Property cards that you were given earlier that said that the building was vacant and so forth, is that something that you signed to make that your statement?
No.
Okay, that's records that the county uses.
Yes.
Okay. And have you ever reviewed the tax assessor's records as to the value of your property?
I mean, just one.
Would you agree with me that very often county records aren't accurate to real life?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And did you meet the members of Grits?
Yes.
Did they speak profanities at you?
Absolutely not.
Did they do anything that was less than ministerial to the kids there or to you?
No. They were very encouraging to the youth. There were approximately 100 students in attendance that night, and it was nothing but a positive experience.
Very good. And when as to the traffic issues and the fact that some kids are dropped off, first of all, are some kids driving themselves?
Yes.
Okay. And secondly, the kids that are dropped off, do they stay inside the building the whole time, or do they sometimes walk from City View to the back or to the skate park?
They travel.
Okay.
Unless their parents specifically. I mean, we do our best there to monitor them as best we can. that.
Thank you, that's all.
Okay, Counselor, who else?
Yes, next is Steve Jacobson.
Steve, good to see you again. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Absolutely. All right, go ahead and identify yourself.
I'm Steve Jacobson, at 4011 Friendly Oak Road in Jonesboro.
And I'm gonna say out loud for Mr. Jacobson's benefit as well as anyone else's, I'm gonna keep Mr. Jacobson very on point because I don't want to lose Ms. Cody and I'd like to finish this question.
Absolutely. All right.
We'll do the best.
I'm trying to keep things down.
I think we've heard, you gave us a good one last time, so let's just stay on the issue. Thank you.
With that said, Pastor Jacobson, I'm going to hand you several things, and what I'm going to ask you to do is identify each one of these and tell who the letter or document is from, and don't read it into the record, just tell us the position that it gives.
Okay, this is from Dale Haas, Craighead County Judge, and it says he is against the granting of the additional permit at this time.
Read the final paragraph.
My position continues to be against the granting of additional liquor permits at this time until the issue comes before the voters.
All right. And do this sure it's there. And so pass it down.
I think we can have that one. It was in the file.
What's the date of that?
3rd of August.
There's one in the file.
Again, the name, position of the person, and or the title of the person and their position.
Chairman, if I may, excuse me, I'm going to have to object to the simple rote reading into the record of these letters. I mean, if these people wrote the letters and they came here and wanted to testify.
Well, we accept, if you had a group of letters and support, you wanted to tell us who did, I would be more than happy to have your stuff and
Yes, sir.
accept it and allow you to read it. We always do. So we'll note your objection, but there's certainly, we need, there may be a letter in here that we haven't seen, and it's not in the file, so that's kind of what this is
No
all
objection
about.
to the introduction. We introduced our letters in our complete file, but with regard to sitting here and the rote, just rereading.
Well,
them.
it really doesn't bother me, so.
And I'm not reading them anyway.
Yeah, he's not reading the whole thing, just be brief with him and let's move on. I understand what you're up.
The difference here is that if you have a set of letters in a notebook like that, you don't necessarily hear each name that does that has a position, and I want you to.
All right, this is from Larry L. Bailey, served on the advisory board of the board of directors of City Youth Ministries, and it says, I oppose the granting of a liquor license for the Stage 1 Repertory Theater. The concluding paragraph says, I feel that one of your jobs as board is to keep private clubs to a minimum in a dry county and service not placed in an area where children congregate. Thank you for giving this your attention.
Okay.
Jacobson will see this too. We're going to mark these. Okay, yes.
Do you want them all together?
I'm not going to ask you to go through those. Just come through this quickly and explain to the board what this is a package of what.
All right, these are letters from numerous people.
Okay.
Series of opposition,
All letters of opposition to
you got a copy of the council.
I do. There you go. And ask these be admitted.
Those are all opposition letters. How many does that represent, Mr.
I haven't counted them. You have a number?
we have a total of we received letters, 28 of them from churches inside the city of Jonesboro. 77% of them inside the city of Jonesboro itself.
Okay? And next, I'm going to hand you a stack of petitions. What I want you to do is, what I want you to do is tell the board how many names we have total on those petitions, and then since Mr. Fuller always asks this question, I want you to explain to him how the names of the petitions were gathered.
All right, we have 1,700 names in opposition to granting this permit. These permits, many of them were gathered in local churches in the Jonesboro area. I can speak for the one that was gathered from our church. We made our people aware of what the issue was, what the petition dealt with, and left them there for them to sign at their discretion.
Very good.
And just copy those.
Sure.
Get a copy.
Would you let him have a copy of those petitions? We don't need it. I don't think I
These are all original.
Okay, well, let him take a look at the originals and give them back to us.
I'm going to move you on.
Trees are spared.
That's a separate petition, and I want you to, there's one particular name on line 9 of that I want you to tell who that is.
Okay, the name on line 9 is Ray Kidd.
Who's he? You know his title? Is he a representative?
State representative.
State Representative Ray
I
Kidd.
apologize for being familiar with Mr. Kidd.
That's all right.
There are a few state representatives I know, he's not one of them.
Probably remember him come campaign time.
I'm sure.
Or he'll remember you.
Well, when it comes time to vote on 1318 again, I may remember him then.
Okay.
We next have several letters from churches. I'm not going to ask you to go through all of these, but I'll have the record reflect that there are several. What I'd like you to do, instead of going through all of them and listing out the names of all these churches, is to count how many churches we have letters from, and report that to me.
Letters, okay?
15 groups, 15 sets of letters from churches.
And you have a map here of Jonesboro. This, first of all, you identify what that is.
This is a map of Jonesboro. These are churches in the Mount Zion Baptist Association.
Okay. And why do you have thumbtacks in this map?
This is to show the location of these churches. These are all churches that are taking up letters. Let me say this, not all of the letters are exclusive to the Mount Zion Association.
So the letters that you have that opposing counsel is going through right now, each letter is represented
All
by one of
represents
these
Baptist.
types.
To
And
give you an idea of where the churches are located within the city of Jonesboro.
we don't have then just a few churches on the outskirts of town that are saying, no, we're against this, or even just a few churches right near the club that are against this. We have churches spanning the county. Is that
A lot
right?
of people have made the point that when votes come up to keep Dry County, that Jonesboro votes wet and Craighead County votes dry. I think this ought to give you a pretty good indication that the city of Jonesboro likes the way things are.
Okay. And have you had any conversation or correspondence with the mayor?
I have not, but I have spoken to some people in that.
Okay. And since this is admissible, I'll ask this someone else too, I believe. Your impression is that the mayor takes which side of this argument?
This is the first time that we have had a mayor of the city of Jonesboro who indicated he was going to write a letter opposing any alcohol beverage permit.
Okay. And I'll simply move.
Yeah, we got one.
The opposing counsel pointed out that there's something in the file from the mayor, but it's not, it doesn't have his actual signature.
Yeah, Sheriff, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Sheriff's still here.
It's unsigned.
Was it, do you know anything about the mayor not signing this thing? And did I swear you in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know anything about the mayor not, I know you're yours was not signed in? Was it just because you faxed it down or what?
I have no idea. My guess would be, we got some phone calls, someone came in, I thought I'd signed it, and I sent several.
I know, we've seen those in the past.
But as far as Mayor Coleman, I have not talked to him.
Yeah,
about
top
the matter. I
man.
have no idea.
Well, he was down there pretty heavy on bureaus. He was for, I think he was for, wasn't he? No, he was not mayor. That's right.
They got a new mayor.
That was the other, that's right. That's right. Okay.
And while the sheriff is here, what was your position on this? Okay.
So
Do you wanna ask-
procedurally, how do I
Well,
address him?
you want to ask the sheriff a question, you sure can. You're up here, come on.
Sure. But your opposition is based off of the fact that Cricket County is a dry county. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it's not just the sale of alcohol.
Counselor, you have anything else?
Thanks, Sheriff.
Appreciate you taking your time. Okay.
Mr. Jacobson, do you have, pretty briefly, do you have anything else that you especially want this board to hear before I ask this?
Well, let me just say this, I do have some personal involvement with some of this because I have a son who is a skateboarder, 13 years old, used the downtown skate park extensively before the bulldozing of it occurred. And
It's up and running again.
yeah, but he also frequented the ministry downtown as well. He used to go from the skate park to the ministry there and back and forth. He's gone into Main Street Pizza and had pizza. He's gone to Dragon City, the Chinese restaurant. Kids get to all of these places, and I just, for that reason, I think the last thing we need is a restaurant with a liquor permit right next door to the ministry. I just think that's not a good idea. In my years in ministry, I've spent some time pastoring and ministering in a rescue mission situation, and I'm opposed to it on principle, but again, I would agree with the sheriff. I came to Jonesboro from Shelby County and Memphis, and that's about as wet a county you can get. And while I personally don't consume alcohol, don't like the stuff, wish we didn't have to deal with, we do. But the voters have spoken. They've indicated how they want their county to be. And, I feel if there are enough interest in Jonesboro that think having alcohol in the downtown area will boost the downtown area, then be honest about it. Take it to the voters. Let the voters vote for that. And if they vote for it, I may not like it, but I'll live with it. But I just continue to object to the liquor interest in Jonesboro using this backdoor approach to get what they can't get at the ballot box. I don't think that's right.
Sir, this is the overhead of Jonesboro.
Yes.
And if I may, would you agree with me that this is Blessed Sacrament Church?
Best I can tell.
Okay. And then this is going to be First Methodist
That's, again, best I can tell. My church is not out in this area. So
and First Baptist.
I believe so. I know they're in that area.
These three churches in the downtown area. Did any of these three churches object in your petitions that you turned in?
I did not go through them personally, but let me just say this. I don't, Southern Baptist churches, and I can't speak for any of these other churches. Southern Baptist churches are an autonomous group. We are not a denomination per se, as much as we are a confederation. Within the Southern Baptist Convention, we have churches that take a lot of positions on a lot of issues, some of which I strongly disagree with, and I suspect that there are some Southern Baptist churches that don't have a problem with alcohol, and or at least don't make an issue of it. I don't have to take that particular stand.
Okay, but you were the one who introduced all the petitions and all the letters.
And from the churches that signed those letters, those churches are adamantly opposed.
Okay, and you would agree with me that those churches are not located in this area?
They are not located as close to that area as those churches are, but there again, I can't speak for those churches. I can't speak for their pastors. I don't know how involved
Well,
they
I'd
are.
really rather not get into a philosophical religious discussion between what denominations support alcohol and what we get off the deep in that.
Just to offer a stipulation, we'll stipulate to the fact that the churches mentioned are not in that area. We've already pointed out where they are. It's not in that area.
One last question. With regard to the petitions that turned in 1,700 names, can you tell me any of those names those individuals live in this downtown Main Street area?
Well, I do know that particularly one member of our church drives from the other side of Johnson Drive all the way to our church, and she does live in that area.
Drives from North Johnson here, is that
Right,
correct?
Well, not
So-
quite that far out, no.
But to get across
Yeah,
the overpass, the train tracks,
Right.
and then you can't go south on Main Street, can you?
No.
You've got to go south on Union.
You asked me if she lived in the area. She does live in the area.
And what I'm referring to the area is the commercial the commercial and industrial area in here. Does
She
anyone
does.
live in the downtown block district?
I don't know of anybody who lives in that downtown block yet. There will be someday.
Okay. But as of right now, with the petitions that you have, they are from people outside of this downtown area.
They are from people who live in Jonesboro and whose lives are affected by what goes on in Jonesboro.
Okay.
All right, Counselor?
No further questions.
All right, next witness, and I think you got somebody want to whisper in your ear.
These are going to be about one question apiece. Ryan Rowe.
Brian? Yeah. It's your big chance, Brian. Just identify yourself, please. Be very brief. Great.
I'm Brian Rookie. I'm
Spell your last name.
Rookey. I'm the youth minister at the Living Word Church. I've frequently taken teenagers to the Powerhouse, to City Youth, and I guess I've probably got kids who go to the skate park as well.
You live how far away from this facility?
I live approximately 4 blocks.
Okay.
I live at 626 West Wood Road.
Would you say that you live in the area, would you say you live in the proposed area where the alcohol will be served?
Yes.
Okay. Do you always define areas by a center point somewhere, one direction of the subject place, or do you usually define area by a radius that extends out from the subject
Radius
place?
extends around that.
Thank you for that. That's the witness.
So what is the radius within which you're defining this?
I would say 4 to 5 blocks, walking distance. And the reason why I'm using walking distance is because whenever Grinch was there, I did take my kids there. Because of parking problems at the Powerhouse, I've always had the kids meet at my house and we walk down to the area because finding parking with just the Powerhouse operating is problems. And it just amazes me that they're saying parking will not be a problem because the hours that they're talking about operating is the exact same hours that the Powerhouse will be operating. And I'm having problems finding parking with just the Powerhouse working at that time. I can only imagine with the added hours of that, with them both having live music at the same time.
But you understand that they're not having live music at the same time. The testimony has been the Main Street would only have for 2 hours on Friday nights. Well, I believe the testimony of Ms. Borden was Saturday nights from some 7 till 11. So you would agree that those are not corresponding at the same time.
Okay, but they may not have live music at the same time, but the two things are operating at the same time. And I'm also saying I'm taking kids there and it's part of my house for other things going on there, not just live music.
Okay, but so it's your contention that there's a big going on down there and you're down there with your groups.
Exactly.
Counselor?
That's all I have. That witness. Nick Resnick, witness.
This is your class.
Got the same correct.
Nick?
Okay, I'm sorry, when I said Nick, I thought we agreed to Corey, and I read your name wrong. So it's my fault, Corey.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
We appreciate that.
Corey, please state your name. And how old are you? Where do you go to school? Okay. And do you attend any functions at the Powerhouse?
I do almost every Saturday.
Okay. When you attend functions at the Powerhouse, first of all, is it beneficial to you and your friends?
It is because if there wasn't a Powerhouse, I'd probably be either home or other.
Okay. And is this a place where you can invite other friends
your age to go and trust that they'll have a good time and be ministered to as well.
Definitely.
Do you feel like alcohol being just next door would be a detriment or a plus in your being able to bring friends to a place like this?
It's negative because they'll be right there right when you walk out the door. But
Well, you realize I can't carry anything out.
well, I realize that. I'm just taking my speed. They'll be right there.
And as to all this testimony about pedestrian traffic and the vehicular traffic in that area, do you see that as a congestion issue, or do you see that as free flowing, no problems?
Congestion because me and my brother we parked and we got a bit. I don't know what it's called, but across the street. And it's definitely we have to wait a while to walk across the street.
All right, no further questions.
You're 15 and you don't drink, correct? So when you talk about the term intoxication, you don't really have a frame of reference to default from.
Well, it's
Fine, is it fair to say?
no, I do have a lot of friends who do drink.
Okay. And do you think about the fact that they will be affected by Ms. Irby's non-grandfather license?
Will they be affected? I have a lot of friends up at Powerhouse, and they do come from broken homes, and it can be an influence.
But as the chairman pointed out, that you realize that everything has to occur inside the place.
Yes.
And haven't heard any testimony from you that you ever had any run-ins with any people or had any problems with anyone outside on what it is.
No, not with beer.
Okay. Have you gone down to eat at Subway?
Yes.
You don't have a problem eating at Subway even though it's right next door to Piero's, which serves alcohol.
Well, I've only eaten there once, and that was about
But
last
you
year.
do. And do your friends go down and eat there?
Not that
Not that you know. But you would agree it is next door to Piero's.
I never really noticed beers, but
So it's Piero's a Mr. Non-factor, you haven't even noticed it.
to me, no.
Is Subway
Okay.
a place where you go and invite friends to hang out and be ministered to?
No.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank everybody for coming. Those of you that caught the end of the last hearing, unfortunately, you know these are hard. Our decisions we have to make are based within the law, and we try to do the best we can. Some of you can be happy, and some of you aren't. The decision is appealable to circuit court should it not go the way that you want it, and then on up. So it's certainly within your power. Okay, in the case of, yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Bignault is reminding me I have not called for closing statements, thank goodness.
Mr. Chairman, can we limit these closing statements to 5 minutes?
We would
please?
ask,
Very
I
good.
think the attorneys this attorney wants 3. If we can keep them very, very concise, I think we've heard a lot of the information.
I think you have 2, Chairman, and I will be probably a minute to 2 minutes.
Good.
Very good.
Okay,
And if I may, just keep my seat.
you may.
Just looking at the 6 factors, the committee's heard everything. First factor, the number of existing permits in the proposed area. Well, there's only one, and that is Piero's, which is currently operating right now. 2, the types of permits. Piero's is a wine, beer, and liquor, where Ms. Irby, as she's testified to, is only asking for a beer and a wine permit. 3, suitability of the location. Ms. Irby has testified that moving south, connecting Main Street Pizza with the 222 address, having it all under one roof, that it is suitable for her purposes, for her restaurant. She's had a very successful restaurant that's been operating for the last couple of years. With regard to the degree of law enforcement, you've got the letter from City Attorney Philip Prego, who states that he does not have a problem, doesn't foresee a law enforcement problem with downtown. As far as traffic, one thing I will point out to the committee is that the objection from the sheriff, the objection from the mayor, the objection from the county judge, none of which addressed any traffic issues. Coupled along with the testimony of the property owners who live and work downtown all day long, day and night, did not feel there was a problem with traffic or parking. addressed suitability of the proposed building. Ms. Irby testified as to her security, closed cameras inside and out, plus have an alarm system, impact on churches or schools in the area. Testimony has been no school in the area, the churches in the area, First Methodist, First Baptist, Blessed Sacrament, none of which filed any type of objection whatsoever. I understand that there have been plenty of objections filed by churches outside the proposed area, but those who were closely connected did not object. Input from law enforcement officials, well, I've addressed that issue. And finally, we have the signatures from the downtown property owners, all coupled or bound in the back of our packet, all of which were for this, and the support of Ms. Irby's license being granted. We did have the secondary follow-up letter from Judge Haas, and then the 2 letters from the mayor and the sheriff showing that their objections came down unsigned for whatever reason. But with that, we would ask that that the committee do rule in Ms. Irby's favor.
Counselor, I appreciate your concise statement there, and we appreciate you today. I think this is your first time with us, and as you can tell, these things get interesting. We're sort of somewhere between quasi-legal and not, so we appreciate you. You did a very fine job. Thank you. Mr. Hogue always does a good job, too. You're there. Showtime.
Number one, I'm going to use the same factors he did for obvious reasons, due to the factors that you have to use. Number of existing alcohol beverage permits in the proposed area, and whether such area is adequately served by existing outlets. The first problem that you guys have is how the heck does an area is defined. That's obviously an issue here. We're going to define area however it's good for each side of the case. And we're lawyers, and that's our job. The situation here is that if you only define an area to a 2-block area, 2-block vicinity, you still have another alcohol outlet in that same vicinity. And we have, at that point, just with that, we have alcohol readily available in the downtown area. Fiero's is serving, Julio's may serve at some point. The last thing that we need under that factor is one more alcohol outlet just next door to the powerhouse. We've heard plenty of testimony on what that's all about. The types of existing alcoholic beverage permits in the proposed area, I don't know why that's a factor. 3, suitability of location of proposed outlet, including such factors as possible traffic hazards, traffic congestion, law enforcement, and so forth. You have heard plenty of testimony that we have both pedestrian traffic issues in this area, we have vehicular traffic issues in this area. It's congested. We are using up all the parking lots already. And if you weigh the people who say that we have the congestion against the people who say we don't have the congestion, I submit that the people who say we don't have the congestion seem to have their eyes closed to what's going on because the congestion is so readily obvious to the rest of them. As far as the potential impact on the proposed outlet on churches and schools in the area, first of all, the area has fluctuated throughout this. We do have a school and a church in the area. The word from the other side was that they didn't have any objection to it. The problem here is that sometimes we have to recognize that even though Powerhouse Ministries may not be technically a church and City Youth may not be technically a church, they are both ministries in the area, and they are going to be strongly affected by this because kids are coming to get away from alcoholic homes or broken homes or anything else, and the last thing they need is heavier traffic with alcohol inserted into that traffic in the area that they have called their own for years at this point. And finally, the last thing they need is a temptation to even try to get in. She had good security measures, it looks like, but the last thing these kids need is one more temptation. When they come here, they were there first. The pizza place came in as a secondary factor, and they should be allowed to stay where they are. Not that they have to move, but it's just not going to work. It's a bad mix to put this next to youth ministries. Opposition or support comments from adjacent property owners. That's been most of our case today, the adjacent property owner. You've heard plenty of that. We also have multitudes of petitions, letters. As far as government officials, you have the sheriff, you have the mayor, you have a senator that signed a petition. This is not a situation or a representative that signed the petition.
this is not a situation where I'm coming in and saying, there's somebody in a Baptist church that doesn't want this. You have government officials, you have the normal tax-paying citizens, and then you have kids who are asking you not to do this. That's our case today. It's not in the public interest. It's not in the kids, in the neighborhood's interest. I'm asking you not to do it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hogan. As always, a good job. Okay, in the case of Donna J. Irby, Stage 1 Repertory Theater, Maine and Jonesboro, used by the director on June 16th, I will entertain a motion. Chairman, I make a motion. Mr. Ellis?
Both sides presented the case real well. I think we've done a very good applicant. Saying that, and also in the Chamber of Commerce, they're in favor of something I sure look at real hard, just like I did with your own. Saying that, I'd like to make a motion that we uphold the director's decision based on the following reasons. First of all, I listened closely to Carla Owen. 7,000 kids per year. Their hours is reasonable, how they can stay open. Their chaperone, or whatever it is, $2 all the time. Listen to Brother Randall Woods, a letter from the City Youth Ministries. Steve Jacobson, also reported that the sheriff, the mayor, the county judge, prosecuting attorney Dale Hoss, they were all against this. Larry Clayton,
County
judge,
County judge.
Larry Bailey with City Youth Ministries. Other letters of opposition was 36, 17 approved signatures against it, and 15 letters from different churches. Ryan Whitney, listened to him carefully along with Corey Fisher, 15-year-old. What all I heard was that I feel like alcohol served next door to be a negative of what the firehouse is trying to accomplish with the youth. We've got narrow streets here, we do that with the girls. I think it's a public safety problem along with congested traffic. Again, the public officials that's talking about parking at that end of the block seems to be a problem. I know I was from Heroes because everybody was talking about getting crime back. That's not what this is. This is a pizza place. I just don't think that this would be the place.
You don't feel it serves the public convenience and advantage?
Not that
The public interest in testimony lets you believe that. Okay, we've had a motion that we uphold the director's decision. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We've had a motion and a second that we uphold the director's decision. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. The permit is denied at this point. You do have appeals to make. We really appreciate everybody coming. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Luke, are you about ready to put us on record?
All right, we're back on record. The next item for the board's consideration is an application filed by Ms. Candace L. Cronister for a private club permit. This is a new private club application filed on behalf of Ruby Tuesday, 2915 Kazi Street, is that correct? Kazi? This is in Jonesboro. The application was refused on the 16th of August 2007 by the director, as there was objection from the sheriff, county judge, prosecuting attorney, and also from some area residents in Craighead County. Let the record reflect that the applicant, Candace Cronister, is present for today's hearing. Let the record further reflect that Ms. Cronister is represented by her attorney, Mr. Jim Clark. Let the record reflect that there are also a number of persons here that are in opposition to the application.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Counselor, if you, and are you going to coordinate, Mr. Jacobson?
Best I can, sir.
Okay, if you will identify, please, and have stand up people that might be called to testify, we will swear them in at this time, okay?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's Candace Cronister
Right.
and Jenny Mitchell.
Mitchell, Reverend Jacobson.
Bob Hester.
Okay, please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. For those of you that haven't been with us before, the way this works is the person who is applying for the permit gets to go first and basically describe what they're trying to do, the who's, what, why, when, and where of the permit. Then when they get through with that, or they call various witnesses, the opposition will be able to question them or question the witnesses. Then we just simply reverse the field, happens again, and then at that point in time, we will take we'll have summaries from both sides, and then we will take a public vote. As I have explained to some of you before, we're one stop on this railroad. You can appeal your decisions to circuit court and up on to the appellate court if you feel so agreed. So that's the way this works. We would ask everybody that is not testifying to, please keep your comments, cheers, or boos to yourself, and we'll continue on down the line here. So with that, Ms. Cronister, if you and your attorney would like to open this up by telling us what you're trying to do.
If I could, Candace, please state your name to the board.
Candace Cronister.
Are you employed as the general manager of the RT Jonesboro Club and in Jonesboro?
Yes.
Could you advise the board, say for the past 5 years, what your employment has been, who you work for?
I have worked for Ruby Tuesday for 6.5 years throughout college, starting as a server. I had an internship with the Jonesboro Police Department, went on to start in the Memphis Police Academy, where I was recruited by Ruby Tuesday for management. Also during college, I worked for three different positions office, completing medical records and as a secretary at the front desk.
As you're now employed by RT Jonesboro Club, Inc., is that
Yes.
correct? Did you attend a seminar conducted by Mr. Don Bennett of the ABC, whereby you were instructed on the laws and regulations that apply to dispensing alcohol therapy?
Yes, I did.
All right. In the event the board comes to a conclusion to grant you an alcohol therapy